I'd like to ask you a provocative question. Do you consider yourself to be elitist? Is it possible that you might be accidentally practicing academic elitism? Do prereqs in your program unintentionally create barriers for students who transfer to NDSU? Welcome to my final conversation with a colleague associated with student retention. Today I'm talking to Jeff Boyer, Director of Assessment at NDSU, about the fact that transfer students leave our university at a higher rate than other students. I recently attended a session associated with transfer students at APLU, the Association of Public and Land Grant Universities. The panel shared the following statistic. According to the United States Government Accountability Office, students who transferred from one school to another lost an estimated 43% of their college credits. During that session, someone suggested that academic elitism at our universities might be causing this loss of credit because we may believe that our courses are superior to those at a community college. I'll put a link to a study the panel referenced from the American Council on Education in the link below. So, what are the implications for us? Jeff suggests that we are not a school of choice for transfer students because we may accept courses for credit, but they may not count towards a degree due to requirements we have implemented in our programs. As in an earlier conversation, Jeff also encourages us to notice and engage transfer students. I would love to hear your thoughts about what it means to be a transfer-friendly program.
So this idea of transfer-friendly, ultimately it's about accepting credits from students who started elsewhere. That's ultimately where it's about. We've heard President Cook talk about articulation agreements and MOUs, but those can be meaningless to me. I mean, to be honest, we have a bunch of articulation agreements and MOUs already, but they're not actually leading to students transferring in and then having their credits accepted. So I don't put a lot of stock in articulation agreements and MOUs. What I think matters is that students actually come here because their credits are going to be accepted and they're going to be successful in our program. So for me, transfer friendly means that we'll look carefully at what our requirements are for our degree programs and see what can be adjusted. We as an institution, I think we've had this sort of mindset of, well, everybody else should adjust to us. And from an enrollment perspective, an enrollment management perspective, that's not productive. We might have to actually make some changes. And this is where earlier when I was talking about free electives, the number of free electives that you have available, those are really, really useful for being transfer friendly because those free electives can be opportunities for students who have earned credits outside of what we would maybe want them to earn to complete a degree. They can be applied in that particular category of credit, so that those aren't wasted credits. I mean, I'm blanking now on the number of credits that are extra credits. You know that's students are bringing. I want to say it's around 40, but I might be misrepresenting that. But like it's these additional credit load that's not counting for anything if students transfer, and that's why we don't obviously don't become a school of choice around transfer, because if students see like, oh, you won't accept half of the credits that I've earned already. I've earned 60 credits, but you're only going to take half of them. Of course I would shop around. And I'm aware of situations where like NDSCS is actually sending students to MSUN because we won't accommodate those students. Like, that just is crazy to me. Like, why wouldn't we work within, like, that's in the system. Why wouldn't we work with them? And there have been a lot of historical reasons, but those should all be interrogated, because maybe we need to rethink this. So really transfer friendly for me is, how do we include the credits? How do those credits that students have earned elsewhere get incorporated into the degree? And then some of the things we talked about with respect to what faculty can do. I mean, that's also about being transfer friendly. Is notice students. Make sure that your student hours it's really clear around the expectations around that. Making sure that students understand how they're performing. That benefits all students, whether they're from a historically disadvantaged population, or they're first gen, or they're transfer students, or they're military or veteran students. Those sort of changes in structure in an individual course can have a wide impact on students.
So it seems to me that what you're describing would contribute to the idea of what we are as a university, which is to train people for jobs that don't even exist yet. That if we are flexible and permit them to count other sorts of coursework, that contributes to the broader educational experience, which will help them be more successful later.
I absolutely think so. Yeah, this notion about preparing students for the next stage of their life, even in areas that we're not even sure are going to be opportunities yet, means and so this idea of like thinking well, thinking critically, communicating well, through a wide range of modalities. So not only written, but oral. Being able to manage projects. I mean, project management keeps showing up. You can learn those skills in a lot of different courses. It doesn't have to be a discipline-specific course where you learn those skills, though I do think students appreciate when they develop those skills in a discipline-specific context, because it feels more authentic to students. I think they see the relevancy when you develop that knowledge and skills in context of a discipline. And this is where I think it's important to be reflective on, like, what are the outcomes that we're trying to work towards? And this is certainly my director of assessment approach, is like, what are we working toward here? And I don't think it's just, if you take a bunch of courses, everything will be fine, you'll be successful. No, those courses should be working toward a set of objectives, and you can get a variety of course experience. There's a variety of course pathways that can get you to a similar set of outcomes, and so let's be reflective about that.
These three suggestions, which emphasize flexibility to improve retention of transfer students, seems reasonable to me. We need to accept credit. We need to provide more free electives. As with all students on campus, we need to pay attention to them. We need to notice them. Jeff asks us to reflect on an important question. What are we working towards? Take care.